Let's learn how to animate this entire character scene inside of Adobe Animate 2020.
TipTut.
You can download the resources for this tutorial by going to www.tiptut.xyz and clicking on the resources page. This series was recorded during the coronavirus scare, and due to spacing issues in the house, we'll have no webcam. Sorry about that, but hopefully you can still learn something from this tutorial series. Hello everybody and welcome back to TipTut, and welcome back to this animation concept in Adobe Animate series. We are on the final frame today. We're just going to jump right in because we are pretty close to finishing this thing. Hello everyone, post-editing Matt here. It was at this point that I realised I'd skipped an entire scene somehow and didn't add it into my document. Don't worry, carry on with the scene that we're doing now. At the end of this little animation episode, I pop that other scene in quickly for you. You don't learn anything new whilst animating that scene, it's just pretty much the same as the previous shot. So don't worry, you'll be able to carry on with that one by yourself. Carry on with this tutorial as intended, and you can go and add that scene in afterwards when you're done. Okay, back to the video. Last time we animated this little segment here. Our character's got a looping mouth, looping eyes, looping tears, etc, etc. If we watch this, he's screaming, but then he suddenly becomes very determined. And if we turn on our little background sketches here, you can see that his face closes, the camera zooms in, and then in a moment, he's going to zoom out to the original pose from scene 1, which hopefully then should make a seamless loop, which will be quite fun. So to do that, we're going to carry on and jump straight into this scene here. Now, what I'm going to do for the moment is just hide this top sketch layer because I don't need it to transition between this frame and this frame. We can figure that out. But what I'm going to do is probably create a few reference frames in the middle. Okay, so let's move everything that we've got here over a couple of frames. I'm just going to hit F7 on all of the above. One thing I won't remove, however, is the body. I can just clear all these keyframes because that's going to stay the same. Excuse me. I can just move this keyframe over to begin here because it's going to use the same kind of body. Yeah. Now, if we turn on the onion skin tool here, we can go to the middle frame between these two frames. Now, at the moment, there's nothing on this layer to onion skin 2 because it's all on these layers beneath. So what we'll probably find easiest to do is just to surmise the difference. We already have been drawing his character a lot now. We can understand the different parts that he's made of. For example, I can take this dark color here. If I just make a reference point, say here, which I know was the previous bottom of the mouth, we know the top of the mouth was here. Okay, and it's going to turn to this closed mouth in the next scene. We know we just shouldn't exceed those 2 points when we're drawing our first frame. I'm going to keep the wobbly lips along the bottom. And we'll just have our character's mouth start to close off. Now, previously we did these with symbols on the other frames. I'm not going to bother this time around because we're just going to have him closing his mouth, and they don't need to be animated and moving or anything like that. If you want to keep the previous things in, you can. I just don't think it's really necessary. Let's add in some more frames, because I think it's probably going to take about a couple of easing frames to do this. So I'm going to pop that frame I just drew in the middle, hit F7 again. And this time I'm going to create a reference point, which is pretty much exactly on all of the previous points. Okay, so that was the shape of our mouth previously, and I'm doing that because I want this one to be pretty close to it. Excuse me, that was awful. Let's try that again on a slant. I'm just coming a little bit above and a little bit in from all of these. And I'm also just going to let my cat out as well. Okay, so there we go with that. I'll just delete these little reference points quickly. Obviously, I have none of them touching with the mouth. Then we've got this frame. Now we need a frame quite close to this closed mouth, and I think that'll probably be enough. Might have to do a few more settling frames, but we'll see. Change that back to the center here and zoom out a little bit. Yeah, I think one more settling frame is going to be fine. So we'll just shift those over a bit. And we'll have that one come out basically really thin and wide. Is that not filling in? Let's try that again. There you go, that looks pretty good. Should it be quicker than that? If we actually just remove this middle frame. Boom. Boom. Yeah, I think it should be quicker. Bam, like that. Barely any movement. So barely any movement, fully closed, off, like that. That looks pretty good. Okay. Mouth-wise, that's fine. We do need to add in some teeth, though. So to do that, I'm just going to, because the mouth's going to be closing, we can get away with just drawing like the edges of some teeth here. Oh, excuse me, I didn't put on paint selection there. My mistake. One thing we should make sure is that these are roughly in the same place as he's closing his mouth. So we'll just do that again. Like that, that should be fine. Fill in, oops, fill in these two. Obviously missed a corner there, so I'll just paint these corners a little bit. Like that, and that should cover it. Good. And the final thing, of course, is the back of his throat. Looks pretty good. Next frame, doing a similar thing. Of course, this time we're going to paint everything just a little bit tighter. Why is that not connecting? That's so annoying. Twinkle in his eye as well. So here at this point, we need to make sure we're moving towards a correct place. So I'm just going to give ourselves some references on the next frame for where those eyes are going to be ending up. Like that. So when we're drawing this one, we know we're moving towards the right area, which is probably going to be something like this. Cool, cool. Right. Let's add in a larger pupil. Let's add in some really big shines. Remembering that these are, of course, transitionary. And then also let's at this point start to make these sparkles. Something little. Like that. Okay, looks good. Final frame then. For this one, we'll just need to follow these guidelines that we made before. And I think I'd quite like them to pretty much, oops, got to went way outside the eye there. I was looking at the wrong reference frame. Pretty much fill the eyes. Okay, that looks all right. Now we've got our other reference frames, which is good because it means we can come in, draw these pupils, really start to push the boundaries with these. I want them to have these big, stupid anime eyes, yeah? Select these shines. And this time we're just going to go and trace the shines, but just a little bit smaller. Like that. That looks good. And then here, come bigger with the eye shines or the stars. Have a look. Looks pretty good. Now, last thing then is to select our eyeballs and color them in. There we go. Good. Cool. So last thing then would be to take our eye layers and rather stupidly, we'd need to create a new frame here and remove these elements because I should have done these on a separate layer because these are going to have to continue to twinkle. So we'll just fill in here. That is my mistake. Could have easily been avoided. Only where I were a smart boy. But I'm not. I'm an idiota. Put that in there. Okay, do the same thing over here quickly. Good. Now on a new layer, we're just going to create a few twinkle frames to hold that position before we have our character zoom out. And for that, we're just going to draw in our little stars. So I usually do a cross and then just like a kind of square in the middle here, and that will create the sparkle in the middle. And then we just need a few frames of twinkling before we move on to our character zooming out and away. In which case, thankfully, we'll be able to scrap all of this and start again. Okay, how does that look? Let's tidy up these end frames here and have a look. Okay, it looks pretty good. We've got our scared guy going down into a determined looking face. Now, what I want is to have the same rhythm of this closing mouth movement. So it's going to be close, pause, go. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, and then into the first scene. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 frames. Pauses for 2 frames, and then here is where this next segment is going to start, and it's going to hopefully take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 frames. Makes sense. Now we're working with a clean slate, however, and we are starting afresh from everything. What I am going to do is go back to my first scene, and I'm going to select everything on the first frame, and I'm going to copy that, go over to scene 5. Doesn't matter what layer, because this will literally just be for reference. We're going to hit edit, paste in place. Okay, now that's going to paste everything on one layer, but that doesn't matter. We can lock this layer, and then we can hide it. Okay. Now, sorry, not hide it. That was stupid. Outline it. So now we have an outline of what our first frame of our animation, and therefore the last frame of this scene needs to be, which is good. So we have our mouth and we have our transition. Now, the only transition frame I drew in the sketch was this one, yeah, which probably isn't super useful. It's just kind of like a halfway through thing. So we're going to ignore that and we're just going to go for it. Now, the only other difference here was as this mouth closed, ding, in the sketch, I did have these kind of determination camera string lines coming in. And I think I do still want to do that. So we'll be adding those in now quickly on a new layer above. Probably 2 new layers above, actually. What we'll do is we'll hit F6 here. And on one layer, I'm just going to quickly grab a rectangle tool. Its stroke is going to be nothing. And its fill is going to be our nice dark color. And I'm just going to drag out a rectangle here. In fact, I might make this like a customized, even darker color, because otherwise they might confuse it. It'll be quite black, but it'll be pretty much there. And then we're just going to hit F8 on that, and we'll call this rect for rectangle. Leaving that center point as the animation point is fine, and I'm just going to rotate it and position it up here. I'll align that or bring that into alignment roughly where the original was. Then I'm going to copy this, and on the layer above, I'm going to paste it in place. Okay. Then I'm going to drag it down to the bottom. That way we know we've got the right angle for it. Moving to the last frame of this little section, we're just going to position it the way we want here. Probably something like that. Looks pretty good. Problem is his face isn't perfectly symmetrical as vertically, so that's fine. So I think what we'll do is we'll go to here. We'll hit F6 here. Let's actually do it here as well because it'll be tweened. That's fine. And then we'll go back to the first frames and we'll just move them off camera. And obviously they don't exist before that point, so it doesn't matter. Right click here, create classic tween. Right click here, create classic tween. Then we're going to go to our tweening options. And I think it just needs to go fast to slow, yeah? So it needs to be something like quint. Double click to apply that. See what it looks like. Yeah, that looks good. Let's do the same one on this one too. Classic ease, out, quint. Ding. That looks nice. These are then going to disappear again as the character rolls out, and we want the framing to be the same. So we'll take however many frames this is, so 37 to 51, which is about 14 frames. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. We'll go 14 frames from here, which will take us to 65, sorry. Bam, F6. And we'll just copy these first keyframes. Have to remove the tweens from them, but that's fine. Remove classic tween. Then we'll just add some more classic tweens to this one. And this time we'll go to classic ease, ease in, quint. And that's going to do the reverse. Like that. Yeah. So if this were to carry on, if we were to clear these keyframes just to see for a second, it would be and then come back out again by the time we go to our previous frame. That is good. I won't turn those into keyframes yet, just in case I want to change it. So I'll leave them like that for now. Let's just hit F7 on here. Now, first thing we're going to need to do is make sure that this character gets settled into this position. Okay, so we need to make sure that by the time he reaches this position here, he has been in that position for a few frames. So we will do that by shifting this along and then just having like a settling frame like we've had here. Yeah. So let's just hide this sketch layer because we don't need it anymore. Oh, there's a mistake. We need to take our sparkly twinkle layer and we need to put that above the eyebrows. Looks much better. There's one frame where they're below, but that's okay. You can fix that in your one. I'm not going to do it on mine. So it needs to go boosh. Actually, I think what should happen is it should reach that point by the time those frames hit there, and then it should stay still. Remove classic tween. Yeah, that's nice. And then here we can shorten this so they disappear a lot earlier. Yeah, that's nice. All right. We have our finishing frame. I'm just going to hide these for now because they're going to get in the way. So we have our finishing frame. Let's work on the body transition between them. This body fills the entire screen. Obviously, that's not going to happen anymore. What we'd want it to end up like is looking like this character here. So I'm going to use this frame and all this artwork as the finishing thing because I know it's exactly correct. So I'm just going to leave that here for now as a reference, but by the end, we will have taken it 10 keyframes over. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and gone to about there with it. So I'm just going to duplicate that for now. And I'm going to work backwards from this because it's going to make more sense for me with the body. So the body here needs to just be basically the same shape, but a little bit bigger because this is going to be the last frame before the first settling frame. Okay. Something like that. Looks okay. Now, move that over, hit F7 here. And then we need one which is kind of halfway between that and that. And remember, we want this to be really snappy. So I think at this point, our character is going to be like here. And we're not going to be able to see his snorkel or anything else. Then the frame before that, it's going to be pretty much full screen. Like this. Just fill, oops, sorry, I won't fill that in yet. What I will do is just tidy up these edges because that's going to be too much for me. Okay. And then we'll need one more. Where it's going to be just really the utmost corners. It's almost like the camera's snapping back, yeah? Because remember, he's not really moving here. We're simulating the camera movement by drawing these frames. So it starts to come with the blue. And obviously, this blue is going to be pretty obvious next to the red. Once we filled this in, yeah? There'll be one settling frame here where I'm going to draw him pretty much exactly the same, as accurately as possible. Remembering that if I'm going to make it different, I make it different, bigger slightly. Okay, coming through. How does that look? Add in a blank keyframe there so we can have our finished article. Yeah. Boom, 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 boom. Now let's check what that looks like in the whole thing by going to export our film. Control Enter will export it for us. Going down, he lands, he bounces, he hits the deck, he spurts some cream, he goes determined. Cool, it looks pretty good. There's obviously a pause because we've got some extra frames there at the end. Did I just say spurt some cream? That's awful. I would never say that phrase again. Good. Right, let's carry on. Wow. Sorry about that, everyone. Body. Bodywork's done. Okay. So let's talk about this face. On the original sketch, he kind of just moves to like a normal frowny face. And I think apart from this first frame, which I think we might be able to get away with just duplicating keyframes for, so let's do that. Apart from this first frame here, which I can hit F6 for, I can select everything that's on the screen. I can hit Q and I can just scale down and shift up a little bit. Maybe squish it like that. I think after that, we will need to do new drawings. Yeah. Maybe we can get away with this frame actually as well. Because at this point, he is a big boy. And his body will be squishing a little bit. And his face will be moving up quite a bit. If not, we'll redraw it, obviously. This one here, for example, if I go to the eyebrows here, I know these are going to be exactly the same. Because it's the settling frame, yeah. So we want them to be as accurate as possible. So we can just add these in. No problem. And that'll give us a guide end frame to work with the rest of it on. Okay. I just did the mouth on the wrong layer there, didn't I? I'll cut that and I'll pop that in the right place. Edit, paste in place. This next one then, let's use the mouth as a guide because it's going to be frowning the entire time, right? So how much does his body grow? Not a lot. So his mouth. Looks pretty good there. And then in this one, boom, he's going to be kind of like this. Now let's use that as a guide for the rest of the frames. See if it looks good. That looks all right, actually. Let's hide this sketch layer now because we don't need it. Yeah, that looks okay. Okay, so there's one frame where we don't have anything on the mouth layer because, again, I'm an idiot and I drew it on the wrong layer. Edit, paste in place. Yeah, boom, that looks good. All right, let's draw some eyebrows. Turn on our onion skin. Needs to be a little bit larger and a little bit lower. So we'll do something like that. And like that. I think it probably does need to go up more. And because we're doing this in like a nice snappy way, we can do some really nice squashing and stretching of objects here. There's a big difference between this frame and this frame, yeah. I think we should bring that eyebrow in. I think there they should be like at the top. As if he's kind of arcing upwards a bit. Yeah, and he gets that nice settling, like whoosh, whipping motion. Okay, eyebrows, good. Eyes, good. No, sorry, mouth, good. Ears, no longer. He is no longer a crying boy. So I think what we can do from this frame onwards is start to move towards this kind of closed, just frowny pupils that he's got here. I am going to out where it's going to be pretty much the same. So we'll make them a little bit bigger. Like that. But on this one, they'll be larger and frownier because they're moving away from this like squashed look from the previous frames. Okay. And here we'll have them be kind of pulled up. and stretching out as he starts to get pulled back down. So I'm just going to wing it, fill these, I think. See how that looks. Nice. So how do we now start to deal with the glints and things like that? I think what we can do is just go straight in, because if we build upwards, there's no points now where they meet the edges of the eyes if we're careful. Yeah. So we can have, remembering that he has to look down by the end of it. And his pupils need to be a certain size by the end of it. So let's outline the eyes just for a moment. Let's select this dark color. Let's go to paint selection and let's click the eyes, because we need to just do a nice copy of this part here. Move back a frame. You can see where the eyes are. Let's just have them be slightly wider and larger. And then on this frame, we can remove the paint selection back to paint normal. And we can have them start to form their normal shape again. Oops, why didn't that work? No idea. Probably just painted it on the wrong layer and didn't realize. Yes, I did. I painted all that on the eyebrows, and that's why that doesn't work. So we'll just select all this, cut it. There's our eye bit that we didn't do on the right layer. Paste it in place, but on the eyes layer. Ugh, this whack on tablet bug is so annoying. Paste in place. There we go. Now we've done that, we can turn wires off on this layer. I think on this frame as well, we should definitely have some shiny. They start to get more aggressive and smaller. And fuck it, why not? Let's have a little bit of the stars just winking out of existence. Let's just have a little remnant of those as well on the next frame. That'll look funny. Okay. That looks pretty good. Bam. 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 Okay. Select them. Oops. Fill in the eyes. I'll just do paint selection because for some reason the paint bucket is being a right pain in the butt today. So we'll just paint all this in with the pen tool. With the brush tool, not pen tool. Okay. All right, I think that might be it. We've also got to do the legs and the hair and stuff. But let's take a look with onion skin off. You know, it actually looks not bad. Now, we know that that's final frame and we know we're pretty close to it. So we can remove all these frames, including that reference frame now. Oh, sorry, not quite yet. Remove all the frames apart from the reference frame. And we just need to draw in the legs and stuff. So we've got a frame here that should be for the tears, but we'll use that for the legs and also the hair. Okay, let's turn on the onion skin, which should give us what we need, and we will outline the body layer. I'm going to grab our nice dark color here, which is going to be the same color we used for the legs originally. I'll just check. Yep. And we'll start doing the legs on the tears layer. Why not? So for this one, I'm just trying to be as accurate as possible because this is a settling frame. So that looks all right to me. Fill that in. And again here. And here. Now we need that lighter one just to paint in the edges of the feet, if I remember correctly. So we'll do that. Now this frame, what we can probably do is grab what we've just drawn, paste it, and scale it up a bit, stretch it out a bit, and move it downwards a bit. And then luckily for the rest of these frames, we only need to draw the tops of the knees. So that'd be a case of just doing something like this. Like that. Okay, and then on this frame, we definitely don't need it. Maybe we have like something like that. That might look nice. Yeah, there we go. That looks all right. Bam. So you can see you can get away with doing some little shortcuts sometimes. Same thing with the hair. Yeah, we're just going to add in another layer on top of the body for the hair. And again, take our brush tool. And we're just going to start drawing something that looks similar to it, because remember these are on looping graphics. Not exactly the same. And on this frame, it's only slightly larger. So we can do something like this. Now this frame, we probably start to see the hairs up here. And then on this frame, I'd say we wouldn't quite see them yet. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, I think we might be done. So let's save our project. And I'm going to add these layers back in, make them visible. I'm just going to remove our last frame here because we don't need it, because it's just our reference frame. That looks nice. I think what we will do though is just really stop that one early. Yeah, that's good. They just disappear pretty much. And we will add to our camera just a little bit of a zoom out on this whole thing. So right click on your camera layer, create a motion tween. And if we just zoom in for that first frame, and then on the last one, oops, what we need to do, because we need to make sure it's 100% accurate, is on the last frame, we will put our keyframe in now. So we know that's accurate, and then zoom back in on this one. So that as it drifts out the whole way, you know for a fact that that frame is going to be perfect. So quite a slow drift out on that one. It makes sense. Let's hit save and see what our project looks like. I'm just going to scale this down though before we watch it, so we don't get any of these annoying white bars around the edges. Like so. We have missed a scene. I knew it. I missed an entire scene. There's the scene where he hits the ramp and flies upwards. Never mind then. What I will do is I'll add that scene to the file, but it doesn't actually add anything new. So maybe what I'll get you to do is do that scene by yourself. It'll be a scene between scene 4 and scene 5. So let's go insert scene here, which will be scene 11 apparently, because I've made a whole bunch of them before. And you can probably figure this one out by yourself because it's exactly the same as the previous scene. this one, where our character lands and slides across the map. So it's the same configuration as that scene. So let me quickly do that for you in a time lapse, and I will see you on the other side. Okay, and there we have it. Sorry about that. I can't believe I completely missed that one out. But I don't think it requires another tutorial to do this. It is literally the same stuff as the previous scene. You're just doing it again with a slightly different motion. Hopefully it means you can put something into practice that isn't just copying from me as well. So my bad. But as you can see, the final animation here does look pretty good. I'm pretty happy with it. You can export this as a movie by just going to File, Export Movie, or you can keep it as a SWF and bring that into After Effects and add some other additional things onto it, like grain and roughen edges and things like that if you want to. I've covered how to do that in other videos as well. So if you want to learn how to do that, I'll put some links in the description. Otherwise, thank you very much for joining me on this journey. I know it was a long one, and hopefully I'll see you next time on the next animation series that we put here up on TipTap.
Remember to subscribe for more tips, tricks, and tutorials. Thanks for watching.